In this video, we're going to be going over the most hated cards in Clash Royale. I asked you all to vote in this poll, and it received almost 500 responses. And as you can see by looking at this pie chart, there are 3 cards that stand out the most. So without further ado, let's go over the results. Although a quick disclaimer, this does not include tower troops, it just includes normal cards. So first things first, there are actually 66 cards that did not get a single vote. So more than half the cards in the game by far. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these on the screen right now so that way you can go ahead and take a look at all of them. I'm not going to go in depth with all of them, but there are a few that I do want to highlight that I found really surprising. Honestly, the biggest surprise to me was probably the Lumberjack, especially with the release of the Evo Lumberjack and how broken it is and how annoying that ghost is. I thought at least a few people would vote for it, but it received 0 votes. So I guess no one hates the Lumberjack. A few others that surprised me are the mid-ladder trio of Royal Giant, Wizard, and Witch. I guess because so many mid-ladder players use them that no one really actually hates them maybe. Not gonna lie, I personally do hate facing against these cards, but I did not vote in this list, so my opinion doesn't really matter here. Then the last 2 cards that really surprised me can both be found in Logbait, and those are the Valkyrie and the Goblin Barrel. Valkyrie again is kind of another one of those mid-ladder cards that can be pretty annoying, and then Goblin Barrel is the most important card in bait decks, and bait decks are absolutely everywhere, and I figured a lot more people would hate playing against them. Maybe I misjudged the Clash Royale community. Maybe they're actually more skillful than I thought. I don't know. I'm probably wrong though. All right, so next up we're going to go over all of the cards that got 1 vote, and there are 20 cards in total. Once again, I will put these all on the screen. There's a few here that are kind of surprising, but a lot of them are pretty forgettable cards to be completely honest. First up is the Night Witch. I know whoever voted for the Night Witch, I know you did it just to annoy me. I know that's exactly what you did. You see the Night Witch over there. You know how much I like her. You voted for her just to spite me. I know you did. Another card that's pretty interesting that's this low is the Princess. Again, kind of going back to the Goblin Barrel, the Princess is a key component in bait decks, and bait decks are everywhere. So I figured a lot more people would hate the Princess, especially with Princess at the Bridge and how super annoying that is and how it's almost guaranteed damage unless you have pretty quick reaction skills. So I figured more people would hate that. I also figured more people would hate the Golem. It only got 1 vote. I guess you don't see it as much as you used to, but it still can be pretty annoying to deal with if you don't have the right counters in your deck. And the last card I want to talk about is the Executioner. This card can be super annoying to play against if you don't have a spell like a Rocket or a Lightning. So I figured more people would vote for it, but I guess one person just really hates it and everyone else can tolerate it somewhat. Next up, we're going to go over all of the cards that had 2 votes, and there are 12 of these cards in total. Once again, you guys know the drill. I'm going to put them all on screen and we're going to talk about a few of them. So here they are right now. Seeing the Electro Dragon this low really surprised me, especially with the evolved Electro Dragon and how absolutely insane that card is. Its Chain Lightning is still probably one of the best abilities in the game. I expected this to get at least 10 votes, but it only got 2. That is really surprising to me. Next up is the Inferno Dragon. I know a lot of people don't like playing against the Inferno Dragon, especially if they don't have a card in their deck that can reset it. So I expected it to get a lot more votes. And then the Lava Hound as well. I know not a lot of people play Lava Hound. It's kind of a niche archetype, especially throughout mid-ladder and through the majority of the game. But I know a lot of people, when they do play against it, they absolutely hate it because either they don't have enough air counters or they just get overwhelmed by the Lava Hound, the balloon, and everything else that's behind it. So now that we have all of those cards out of the way, we are already into the top 20. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these individually. So first up, we have a 3-way tie, and all 3 of these cards received 3 votes, and it is the Clone, Freeze, and 3 Musketeers. Honestly, seeing Clone this high really surprised me because no one really plays Clone at all these days. I mean, according to Royale API, it has a 1% usage rate and less than a 40% win rate. So it is a pretty trash card in the game these days, but I guess some people just hate it that much. Freeze is pretty understandable. It's basically a card that you cannot counter. And 3 Musketeers is pretty understandable as well because it is a pretty niche card, but it can be pretty stupid to deal with if you don't have the right cards in your deck. Next up, we have a tie for 16th place. Both of these cards received 6 votes, and it is the Prince and Goblinstein. Prince is pretty understandable. It can absolutely wreck your tower if you don't stop that charge. It is a pretty strong card, and Goblinstein makes a lot of sense as well. I kind of expected it to get a lot more votes though. Goblinstein upon release was easily one of the best cards in Clash Royale history, and even though it's been nerfed a bunch, it still is a really great card, so I expected it to be up here a lot more, especially because everyone got it for free if you were playing during the month of October, so it was everywhere in the game. So I'm surprised it only got 6 votes. Next up in 15th place with 7 votes, we have the Tornado. Tornado is easily one of the most defining cards in Clash Royale. It has never been bad, and that is just because it is a fundamentally broken card. Being able to move troops around the arena is absolutely insane. It is the card that popularized King Tower activations back in the day, and it is a super annoying card. I can see why it's up here. Next up, we have a tie for 13th place. Both of these cards have 8 votes, and they are the Dark Goblin and the Inferno Tower. I'm surprised the Inferno Tower got more votes than the Inferno Dragon, but I mean, Inferno Tower still kind of sucks to play against, so I totally get it. And then Dark Goblin as well, I can completely understand this. If you don't have arrows or log or any sort of small spell and cycle, the Dark Goblin can absolutely eat up anything, and especially now with that evolution with the poison that it has, Evo Dark Goblin is pretty good, and Dark Goblin itself is pretty annoying to play against. Next up in 12th place, this card received 9 votes, and it is the Suspicious Bush. Now, this is kind of funny that the Suspicious Bush is this high, but I mean, it just does nothing. It's just there. I guess the hate from it just comes from the fact that it is a completely useless card in the game and has 0 place in any deck or archetype at all. And I completely understand why it is this high. Next up in 11th place with 10 votes, we have the Electro Giant. Electro Giant is another one of those cards that is very popular in mid-ladder. It's very low skill to use, and it can be hard to defend against if you don't have the right things to work with. This is kind of random, but one interesting thing I learned about with the Electro Giant the other day is that the Evo Mega Knight actually can't punch it, because when it punches it, it gets stunned and it resets. So I imagine a lot of people hate that, because when I learned it, I absolutely hated it as well. All right, so now we're into the top 10, and a lot of these cards probably won't surprise you that they're this high, but the top 3 I think definitely will, especially the order of the cards. Number 1 is definitely not what you think it is. First up in top 10 is the biggest surprise of this list to me, and that is the Elixir Collector, which got 13 votes. The Elixir Collector is a very niche card. It is not widely used at all, but I can see why it's up here. Basically, if you do not have an Earthquake, you are a little bit screwed here. Even if you deal with it with like a Fireball or lightning or something else, that just baits out your spell, and your opponent can play something else like a 3 Musketeers or any other supporting troop that normally would be used against the Fireball or the lightning or something like that. It can be a very annoying card to play against, and I see why a lot of people hate it, to be completely honest. Coming in at number 9, we have the P.E.K.K.A, which received 17 votes. What's really interesting is going back to my most loved cards video, the P.E.K.K.A actually won. But it's also in the top 10 for the most hated cards, which is pretty weird. There actually is a lot of overlap here. A lot of cards that people love from that previous video, a lot of people hate as well. So a lot of these cards are very polarizing and very divisive. Coming in at 8th place with 19 votes, we have the Hog Rider. The Hog Rider is the quintessential cycle card, win condition, or just win conditioned in general. So many people use it, so many people play against it, and I know a lot of people hate to play against it because they just see it every dang game. So I completely understand this. Coming in at 7th place, we have the Sparky, which received 22 votes. I'll be honest, I think Sparky is overhated. If you cannot deal with Sparky effectively, that is a skill issue on your part. There are so many cards in this game that can counter the Sparky. It is insane. Literally any card that has a stun, any card that has some sort of reset, any tank like a P.E.K.K.A or a Mega Knight, anything like that can counter this card. But I guess a lot of you just suck at the game, so you just voted for it. Get better. Sorry, that was a little mean, but you get my point. Next up in 6th place, we got the Elite Barbarians with 23 votes. Again, this one's kind of a skill issue. E-Barbs are very easy to deal with. Ever since they got that rework back in 2020, which was like 5 years ago, and they nerfed their speed, they became so much easier to deal with, man. Admittedly, they are a really good defensive card. Against any tank, they will absolutely shred through them, but you just gotta learn how to play around that. Sorry. All right, now we are into the top 5. These are the most hated cards in Clash Royale according to you all. And be sure to let me know with a comment if there is anything in this list that surprises you. I would love to know what you all think. First up at number 5, we have the Royal Recruits with 25 votes. This one upsets me. Royal Recruits is one of my favorite cards to play. Now, is that because I'm a low skill loser? Absolutely yes, especially evolved Royal Recruits. Those cards take no skill at all, and they are so fun to play. But also kind of because of the evolved Royal Recruits, I can totally understand why people may hate to play against them. You can just put them down, they can go down both lanes, and you have to deal with both lanes, otherwise they will take your tower. Next up in 4th place, we have the Elixir Golem, which received 28 votes. Chat, I'm gonna keep it real with you here. I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you here. As someone who enjoys playing Elixir Golem is not that hard to defend. If you have cards in your deck that do any sort of splash damage, and if you make sure you keep your spells in cycle, and maybe you have a building or some sort of tank or something like that, an Elixir Golem push can easily be dealt with. However, again, if you don't deal with it properly, it can be an absolute headache. So to an extent, I understand it, but also to an extent, yet again, this is a skill issue. All right, so now we're into the top 3, and these 3 received way more votes than the rest, by far. So in 3rd place, we have the Expo, which received 53 votes, nearly double the amount that the Elixir Golem received. Now, I'll be honest, I used to be one of Expo's biggest haters on YouTube. Back when I was first starting to gain traction with YouTube, I would always scream and I would always yell if I played against Expo. I got to the point where my parents were literally concerned about me. However, as time has gone on, and as I have become a better Clash Royale player, and a more mature human, my beef with Expo kind of doesn't exist anymore. I still do have a bit of PTSD with it, and I do have a little bit of a trauma response when I see it, but at this point, I just play my Royal Recruits, and I just counter it super easily. Pro tip, if you hate Expo, just play Royal Recruits, thank me later. All right, now we have number 2, which is the Mega Knight, with 84 votes. That's right, the Mega Knight, according to you all, is not the most hated card in Clash Royale, but I am not surprised at all to see it in the top 3. Mega Knight was added to the game back in 2017, and it has plagued this game for the 8 years that it has been in the game. So many people say nerf Mega Knight, delete Mega Knight, why do they give Mega Knight evolution, yada yada yada. I've heard all of it times 100. To an extent, I understand it. Mega Knight can be really frustrating to deal with, but also, it's just Mega Knight. Really. Just take your time and don't get overwhelmed when playing against Mega Knight. You'll do fine. Seriously. And now, the most hated card in Clash Royale, the only card that's left. It is the Firecracker that has 87 votes. I expected the Firecracker to be pretty decently high, but I did not expect it to win, and especially even beat out the Mega Knight. But I can totally understand this. If you are not playing arrows in your deck, the Firecracker can absolutely wreck everything you have. It's 3 elixir, it's super prominent in cycle decks. It has an evolution, which is still absolutely insane, like a year and a half after its release. So for the Firecracker, I definitely do understand this one. However, again, if you can't deal with Firecracker effectively, then just put arrows in your deck and that will literally solve all your problems. So yeah, those are the most hated cards in Clash Royale according to all of you that voted for this video. Thank you to all of you that did vote. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to watch this video right here. I'm sure you'll enjoy it just as much, and I'll see you all in the next video.